Welcome back. SRS here. Cortex X1 is something we need to talk about. For the beginners, let me answer you what is ARM. It is a UK based company owned by a Japan based SoftBank which announces new mobile IPs, that is, intellectual properties like CPU cores and GPUs. It is a crucially important company as its instruction set is used in every smartphone in the world. Further, Apple is so convinced that it is going to drop Intel from its MacBook lineup as Apple's custom ARM Lightning CPUs are so powerful in single-core CPU benchmarks that the SE of Apple lashed the S20 Ultra, which is of 3 times the price, by 45% in Geekbench. Hence, from the next year, Samsung System LSI is going to give up on its Exynos M cores, thereby using ARM's stock CPU IP. Android is tired of being a loser. The advent of X1 clearly hints how significant modification is around the corners. Now, the question is, what is Cortex X1? It is an architectural design of processor cores licensed by the ARM Holdings. It is not a whole new approach of designing them, instead a big leap from the roadmap ones by having numerous micro-architectural upgrades to meet some specific performance needs. This is why it is made under the CXC program, which entails custom CPU cores in collaboration with the partners. Now, let's discuss the basics. CPU performance seldom boils down to brute clock speeds, but broadly speaking, what's more important is the number of operations accomplished per cycle. The Cryo custom cores was a marketing lie, we all know that, but with X1 it is not the case. So let's delve deeper. Cortex A78 was launched alongside this Cortex X1, but X1 is basically an A78 on steroids. It has 5 broad dispatchers in comparison to 4 of A78, a wider bandwidth of 8 MOPS greater than 4 neon units of 128 bits, which is twice the 2. Also, it has 64 KB of L1 cache, 1 MB of L2, and 8 MB, which is shared, of L3 cache. These all are twice the A78. My statement is well justified by now. Now let's compare with Apple's A13 Bionic. A13 has 128 KB of L1 cache and 8 MB of shared L2, but it has no L3, right? So this cache hierarchy is difficult to be compared on paper. We can't compare it on theory, as there's latency time to be considered. Latency time is what the time needed in the shared access. Just like CCXs in AMD's Ryzen 3300X in desktop CPUs, more cores or cache levels needs more time to talk instructions with each other. It has 4 floating points per single instruction multiple data, which is SIMP, equivalent to 3 FP per vector, which is of A13. But it has 4 ALU blocks less than 6 of A13. A13 has 7 wide front-end decode, aptly better than many CPU architectures we have seen. Now, X1 with a total of 8 messes with A13 well for the throne. However, the execution, that is ALU cores, are really important, which A13 has a whopping 9 for operations like floating point. This all clearly hints that either X1 is at par with A13 or beyond that. Let's now talk about some claims by ARM. The DynamIQ cluster of 4 A78 and 4 A55 will provide a 20% improvement in sustained performance over 4 A77 and 4 A55. Now just replace one A78 by just one X1. you will get a gross 30% bump. This is how monstrous it is. X1 is 22% integer performance upgrade over A78 when compared for single core peak performance at 3 GHz and same 5 nanometer process. Now these are same numbers for both because it is an ISO process frequency number. The push for more local compute offers 2 times the machine learning over A77. The 15% increment in cluster area uses up more silicon. So with 150% of the size against A78, the Cortex X1 is not just space needy, but power hungry as well. The trade-off being the need of bigger battery and hence more space in a smartphone. Now, as neither the dimensions nor the weight of smartphones should be lifted beyond, the option is to incorporate just 1 or 2 performance X1 cores. Maybe in folding phones we can see more, but in regular ones we can see just 1 or 2 performance cores. Okay. ARM has been targeting 3 GHz clock speed since A76, but looks like with the upcoming 5 nanometer fabrication process for SoCs by vendors, now it won't fail to materialize because the energy efficiency is so well that you can go to 3 GHz, right? Snapdragon 875 is certainly going to adopt it, the X1 cores. Samsung shall not be coming up with X1 cores in the next Exynos 992, which will be used in Note 20, but it will then follow up, and that is very certain. HiSilicon can't adopt this IP as TSMC is bad. Following the US trade restrictions, Huawei and Honor will turn to MediaTek chipsets. And coming to them with Dimensity 1000's successor, it is fairly improbable to be adopted. But visualizing the scaling up of MediaTek, we will get what we desire, and that not too late. However, for Unisoc, it looks impossible. And yeah, not just phones, maybe sometimes Surface Books surface up with 4 or 6 X1 cores, who knows. Coming to launched GPUs, I will be talking about just Mali G78. It is not a generational leap like X1. Also, Samsung and AMD's partnership with Qualcomm's beefy Adreno graphics indicates that this, however, is not a hot property with the high-end market. GPU are, however, of main concern, taking the fact that refresh rates are climbing up as a standard. Concluding all this, Cortex X1 bulks up its concurrent processing capabilities and memory footprints reminiscent of Apple's approach, thereby narrowing the gap between the Android chipsets and the iPhone ones. But sadly, it won't be able to beat the upcoming Apple A14. This was it. I hope you loved it. SRS here. Stay at home. Keep your family safe.